ceremonially unclean, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. Law number 38. The high priest must marry only a virgin. Leviticus 21 verse 13. The woman the high priest marries must be a virgin. Sacrifices. The continual burnt offering, tamid sacrifice, must be offered twice daily. Numbers 28, 2-6. Command the children of Israel and say to them, see that you present to me at the appointed time the food for my offerings made by fire as an aroma pleasing to me. And you shall say to them, this is the offering made by fire that you are to present to Yahweh. 2 lambs of the first year without blemish as a regular burnt offering each day. Sacrifice 1 lamb in the morning and the other between the 2 evenings, the morning and evening tamid. Present with each lamb 1/10 of an ephah, about 2 quarts of fine flour as a grain offering, mixed with 1/4 of a hin, about 1 quart of pressed olive oil. This is the regular burnt offering instituted at Mount Sinai as a pleasing aroma, and offering made by fire to Yahweh. Law number 40. The grain and drink offerings must be offered twice daily. Numbers 28, 5 and 7. Present with each lamb 1/10 of an ephah, about 2 quarts of fine flour as a grain offering, mixed with 1/4 of a hin, about 1 quart of pressed olive oil. The accompanying drink offering is to be 1/4 of a hin, about 1 quart with each lamb. Pour out the drink offering to Yahweh at the sanctuary. Law number 41. An additional sacrifice must be offered every Sabbath. Numbers 28, 9-10. And on the Sabbath day, make an offering of 2 lambs of the first year without blemish, together with its drink offering, and 2/10 of an ephah, about 4 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil, 1 ephah for each lamb. This is the burnt offering for every Sabbath day, in addition to the regular burnt offerings, the morning and evening tamid, and its drink offering. Law number 42. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the new moon. Numbers 28, 11. On the first day of every new moon, present to Yahweh a burnt offering of 2 young bulls and a ram, a total of 7 lambs of the first year, all without blemish. Law number 43. An additional sacrifice must be offered every day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Passover. Numbers 28, 18-24. On the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a holy convocation. You shall do no regular work. But you shall present an offering made by fire to Yahweh as a burnt offering of 2 young bulls and a ram, a total of 7 lambs of the first year. Be sure they are without blemish. With each bull, prepare a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah, about 6 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil. With the ram, prepare 2/10, about 4 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil. And with each of the 7 lambs, offer 1/10, about 2 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering. Also include 1 male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. Prepare and sacrifice these in addition to the regular morning burnt offerings, the morning tamid. In this way, prepare the food for the offering made by fire every day for 7 days as an aroma pleasing to Yahweh. Throughout the Feast of Unleavened Bread, this shall be offered besides the regular burnt offering, the morning and evening tamid with its prescribed drink offering. Law number 44. The Omar offering of the first barley must be brought on the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Passover, and must be waved by the priest on the second day of the feast. Leviticus 23, 10-14. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I am giving you, and you reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf in front of Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the day after the first holy day, Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. You shall offer on that day, when you wave the sheaf, a male lamb of the first year without blemish or defect as a burnt offering to Yahweh. The Omar grain offering shall be 2/10 of an ephah, about 4 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh for a pleasing aroma, and its drink offering shall be 1/4 of a hin, about 1 quart of wine. And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched grain, nor fresh green ears, until the very day you have brought this Omar offering to Yahweh. This shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Law number 45. An additional offering must be offered at the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost. Numbers 28, 26-27. On the day of the first fruits, when you present to Yahweh an offering of new grain at the Feast of Weeks, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no regular customary work, but you shall present a burnt offering to Yahweh for a pleasing aroma of 2 young bulls and a ram, a total of 7 lambs of their first year. Law number 46. 2 wave loaves of baked bread with salt must be offered on the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost. Leviticus 23:17. You shall bring from your habitations 2 wave loaves, made from 2/10 of an ephah, about 4 quarts of fine flour. They shall be baked with salt, the first fruits to Yahweh. Law number 47. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the Feast of Trumpets, Numbers 29:1-2. On the first day of the 7th moon, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no regular customary work. It is a day for you to sound the trumpets, the Feast of Trumpets. And you shall offer a burnt offering as an aroma pleasing to Yahweh of 1 young bull and a ram, a total of 7 lambs of the first year, all without blemish. Law number 48. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the Day of Atonement. Numbers 29:7-8. On the 10th day of the 7th moon, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall afflict your souls, and you shall do no work at all. But you shall sacrifice a burnt offering to Yahweh as a pleasing aroma of 1 young bull and a ram, a total of 7 lambs of their first year. Be sure they are without blemish. Law number 49. The atonement service must be performed on the Day of Atonement. Leviticus 16:29-34. This shall be a statute forever for you. On the 10th day of the 7th moon, you shall afflict your souls. You must fast and do no work at all, whether a native of your own country or a stranger who sojourns among you. For on that day atonement will be made for you to cleanse you from all your sins in front of Yahweh. It is a Sabbath, a solemn rest for you, and you shall afflict your souls. It is a statute forever. And the priest who is anointed and consecrated and ordained to succeed his father as high priest is to make atonement. He is to put on the holy linen garments and make atonement for the most holy place, for the tent of meeting, the holy place, and the altar, and for the priests and all the people of the congregation. This shall be an everlasting statute for you, to make atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And he did as Yahweh commanded Moshe. Law number 50. An additional sacrifice must be offered every day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Numbers 29:12-13. On the 15th day of the 7th moon, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no regular, customary work, and you shall keep a feast to Yahweh for 7 days, the Feast of Tabernacles. On the first holy day of the Feast of Tabernacles, you shall present an offering made by fire as an aroma pleasing to Yahweh, a burnt offering of 13 young bulls, 2 rams, and 14 male lambs of the first year, all without blemish. Law number 51. An additional sacrifice must be offered on the last great day. Numbers 29:35-36. On the 8th day, the last great day, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no regular customary work. But you shall present a burnt offering, an offering made by fire as an aroma pleasing to Yahweh of 1 bull and a ram, a total of 7 lambs of the first year, all without blemish. Law number 52. 3 times a year keep a feast to Yahweh at the Feast of Unleavened Bread, at the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost, and at the Feast of Tabernacles. Exodus 23:14-17. 3 times in the year shall you keep a feast to me. You shall keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days, as I command you, at the time appointed in the moon of green ears of barley, Abib. For in it you came out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And keep the Feast of Harvest with the first fruit of the crops you sow in your field, and the Feast of Ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in your crops from the field. 3 times in a year all your males shall appear in front of Yahweh. Law number 53. The feast of Yahweh must be kept only at the place Yahweh chooses at the house of Yahweh. Deuteronomy 12:5-7 and 14. But you are to seek the habitation of your father, the house of Yahweh, the place which Yahweh your father shall choose out of all the tribes to establish his name, and there you must go. There you must bring your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and your special gifts you have vowed to give, your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks. There in front of Yahweh your father, you and your family shall eat, and you shall rejoice in all that you have put your hand to do, because Yahweh your father has blessed you. But only in the place Yahweh chooses out of one of your tribes, there you must offer your burnt offerings, and there you must do all that I command you. Law number 54. Every household must appear before Yahweh and rejoice at the feast. Deuteronomy 16:16 and 14. 3 times a year all your males shall appear in front of Yahweh your Father at the place he will choose, at the feast of unleavened bread, at the feast of weeks, and at the feast of tabernacles, and they must not appear in front of Yahweh empty-handed. And you shall rejoice at your feast, you and your wife or wives, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless and the widows in your cities. Law number 55. The Passover lamb must be killed on the 14th day of Abib between the 2 evenings. Numbers 28:16. On the 14th day of the first moon, between the 2 evenings, Yahweh's Passover lamb is to be sacrificed. Law number 56. The Passover lamb must be eaten on the night of the 15th day of Abib. Exodus 12:8-11. Then they must eat the meat in that night, roasted in fire, with unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw nor boiled at all with water, only roast it in fire, its head with its legs and with its entrails. And you must let nothing of it remain until morning, but that which remains of it until morning you must burn with fire. And in this way you shall eat it, with a belt on your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Eat in haste, it is Yahweh's Passover. Law number 57. Those who are unclean from a dead body or away on a journey, stranded, detained, or imprisoned, must kill the Passover lamb in the second moon. Numbers 9:10-11. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, if any one of you or any of your descendants is unclean because of a dead body or away on a journey, he may still sacrifice Yahweh's Passover. On the 14th day of the second moon, between the 2 evenings, between around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and sunset, they shall sacrifice it. They must eat the lamb with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Law number 58. The Passover in the second moon must be held according to all its ordinances. Numbers 9:11-12. On the 14th day of the second moon, between the 2 evenings, between around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and sunset, they shall sacrifice it. They must eat the lamb with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it until morning, nor break one of its bones. According to all the ordinances of the Passover, they must sacrifice it. Law number 59. The silver trumpets must be sounded at feast times, new moons, and also in times of tribulation to call the congregation together. Numbers 10:9-10. Make 2 silver trumpets of hammered silver, and use them for calling the congregation together and for causing the camps to set forward. When you go to war in your land against an enemy who is oppressing you, then you shall make the clarion call on these trumpets, and you will be remembered by Yahweh your Father, and you will be saved from your enemies. Also in the day of your gladness in your appointed feasts, and at your new moon festivals, you shall make the clarion call on the trumpets over the burnt offering and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings. And it will be a memorial remembrance for you in front of Yahweh your Father. I am Yahweh your heavenly Father. Law number 60. All animals to be sacrificed must be at least 8 days old. Leviticus 22:27. When a cow or a bull or a sheep or a goat is born, it is to remain with its mother for 7 days. From the 8th day on, it will be acceptable as an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Law number 61. All animals to be sacrificed must be without blemish. Leviticus 22:21. Whoever offers a sacrifice of peace offering to Yahweh to fulfill a special vow or a freewill offering, it must be brought from the cattle or the sheep, and it must be perfect to be acceptable. There shall be no defect in it. Law number 62. All offerings must be salted. Leviticus 2:13. Every offering of your grain offering you shall season with salt. You shall not allow the salt of the covenant of Yahweh to be lacking from your grain offerings. With all your offerings you shall offer salt. Law number 63. The law of the burnt offering. Leviticus 1:2-3. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any of you brings an offering to Yahweh, you shall bring your offering from your animals, from your herds, or from your flocks. If his offering is a burnt offering from the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own free will at the door of the tent of meeting in front of Yahweh. Law number 64, the law of the sin offering. Leviticus 6:25, speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, this is the law of the sin offering. In the place where the burnt offering is killed, the sin offering shall also be killed in front of Yahweh. It is most holy. Law number 65, the law of the trespass offering. Leviticus 7, 1-2 and 7. This is the law for the trespass offering. It is most holy. In the place they killed the burnt offering, they shall kill the trespass offering. Its blood the priest shall sprinkle all around on the altar. The trespass offering is like the sin offering. One law concerns them both. The priest who makes atonement with it shall have it. Law number 66, the law of the peace offering. Leviticus 3 verse 1. When an offering is a peace offering, it shall be brought from the herd, either male or female. It shall be without blemish in front of Yahweh. Law number 67, the law of the grain offering. Leviticus 2, 1-2. When anyone offers a grain offering to Yahweh, his offering shall be of fine flour. He shall pour oil on it and put frankincense on it. He shall bring it to the sons of Aaron the priest. A priest shall take from it a handful of fine flour, the oil, and all the frankincense, and the priest shall burn it as a memorial portion on the altar, an offering made by fire, a sweet aroma to Yahweh. Law number 68. If the congregation sins ignorantly, a sin offering must be brought. Leviticus 4, 13-14. Now if the whole congregation of Israel sins ignorantly and does what is forbidden in any of Yahweh's laws, though the congregation is unaware of this sin, they are still guilty. When the sin they have sinned becomes known, then the congregation shall offer a young bull for the sin, bringing it in front of the tent of meeting. Law number 69. If a person sins ignorantly, a sin offering must be brought when he learns of his sin. Leviticus 4, 27-28. If any other member of the congregation sins ignorantly and does what is forbidden in any of Yahweh's laws, he is still guilty. When he is made aware of the sin he has sinned, then he shall bring as his sin offering a female goat without blemish. Law number 70. If a person is in doubt as to whether he has sinned in regard to any of the holy things, a suspensive guilt offering must be brought. Leviticus 5, 15-19. If a person commits a trespass and sins ignorantly in regard to any of Yahweh's holy things, then he shall bring to Yahweh as his trespass offering a ram without blemish from the flocks, along with the proper value in silver of the trespass according to the shekel of the sanctuary as a trespass offering. And he shall make restitution for the harm he has done in regard to the holy thing, and shall add 1/5 of its value and give it to the priest. And the priest shall make atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven him. If anyone sins and commits any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the laws of Yahweh, though he does not know it, yet he is guilty and shall bear his iniquity. And he shall bring to the priest a ram without blemish from the flock with the estimated valuation as a trespass offering. So the priest shall make atonement for him regarding his ignorance, erring, and not knowing it, and it shall be forgiven him. It is a trespass offering. He has certainly trespassed against Yahweh. Law number 71. A sin offering must be brought for stealing, swearing falsely, and sins of a like nature. Leviticus 6, 1-7. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, if a person sins and commits a trespass against Yahweh by lying to his brother about what was delivered to him for safekeeping, or about a pledge, or about a robbery, or if he has deceived and extorted from his brother, or if he has found what was lost and lies concerning it, or vows falsely, in any of these things a man may do, sinning, then it shall be, because he has sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore what he has stolen, or the thing which he has deceitfully obtained, or what was delivered to him for safekeeping, or the lost thing which he found. For all he has vowed falsely about, he shall restore its full value, adding 1/5 more to it, and giving it to whomever it belongs on the day of his trespass offering. Then he shall bring his trespass offering to Yahweh, a ram without blemish from the flock, along with your valuation as a trespass offering to the priest. So the priest shall make atonement for him in front of Yahweh, and he shall be forgiven for any one of these things he may have done in trespass. Law number 72. The sin offering must be according to one's means. Leviticus 5, 7, and 11. If he is not able to bring a lamb, then he shall bring to Yahweh 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons for his trespass he has committed, one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. But if he is not able to bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then he who sinned shall bring for his trespass offering 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour, probably about 2 quarts as a sin offering. He shall put no oil on it, nor shall he put frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. Law number 73. We must confess our sins to Yahweh and repent for them and be converted to the keeping of Yahweh's laws. Numbers 5, 6, and 7. Speak to the children of Israel. When a man or woman commits any wrong common to mankind, being unfaithful to Yahweh, that person is guilty and must confess the sin he has committed, breach of trust or wrongful misappropriation of the property of another, living or dead. He shall make restitution for his trespass in full value, plus 1/5 of the valuation, and give it to the one he has wronged. Law number 74. A man who has an abnormal discharge, Zob, must bring a sacrifice. Leviticus 15, 13 to 15. When a man is cleansed from his discharge, he is to count off 7 clean days for his ceremonial cleansing. After sunset of the 7th day, beginning the 8th day, he must wash his clothes and bathe himself with running water, and he will be clean. On the 8th day, he must take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and come in front of Yahweh to the entrance to the tent of meeting and give them to the priest. The priest is to kill them, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering, so the priest shall make atonement for him in front of Yahweh because of his discharge. Law number 75. A woman who has an abnormal discharge, Zaba, must bring a sacrifice. Leviticus 15, 28 to 30. When her discharge has finally stopped, she must count off 7 clear days. Then she must purify herself. On the 8th day, she must take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons and bring them to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest is to kill one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. In this way, he will make atonement for her before Yahweh for the uncleanness of her discharge, Zaba. Law number 76. A woman must bring a sacrifice after childbirth. Leviticus 12, 6 to 8. When the days of her purification are over, whether for a son or a daughter, then she shall bring to the priest a lamb of the first year as a burnt offering and a young pigeon or a turtle dove as a sin offering to the entrance of the tent of meeting. Then he shall offer it in front of Yahweh to make atonement for her, and then she will be clean from her flow of blood. This is the law for her who has given birth to a male or a female. If she is not able to bring a lamb, then she may bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one as a burnt offering and the other as a sin offering. In this way, the priest shall make atonement for her, and she will be clean. Law number 77. A leper must bring a sacrifice after he has been cleansed. Leviticus 14, 2 and 10. This shall be the law for the leprous or diseased person for the day of his cleansing, when he shall be brought to the priest. On the 8th day, he must bring 2 male lambs and 1 all lamb, each of the first year and each without blemish, along with 3/10 of an ephah, about 6 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering, and a log of oil, about 2/3 of a pint of oil. Law number 78. The first tithe is holy and belongs to Yahweh. Leviticus 27, 30 to 33. And all the tithe, that is 1/10 of everything from the land, of the seed of the land, of the fruit of the tree, belongs to Yahweh. It is holy to Yahweh. If a man will at all redeem any of his tithes, he must add 1/5 to the value of it. The entire tithe, 10th, of the herd or the flock, of all things that pass under the rod, every 10th is holy to Yahweh. He must not pick out the finest from the bad, nor make any substitution. If he does make a substitution, both the chosen animal and also its substitute become holy and cannot be redeemed. Law number 79. The firstborn of clean animals are holy and belong to Yahweh. Exodus 13, verse 2. Consecrate, sanctifying to me every firstborn male. The first offspring of every womb among the children of Israel belongs to me, both of man and animal. It is mine. Law number 80. The firstborn sons belong to Yahweh, but may be redeemed. Exodus 34, 19 to 20. The first offspring of every womb belongs to me, including the firstborn males of your livestock, whether from your herd or flock. But the firstling of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb. If you will not redeem him, then you shall break his neck. All the firstborn of your sons you shall redeem, and none shall appear in front of me empty-handed. Law number 81. The firstling of a donkey must be redeemed. Exodus 34, verse 20. But the firstling of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb. If you will not redeem him, then you shall break his neck. All the firstborn of your sons you shall redeem, and none shall appear in front of me empty-handed. Law number 82. If the firstling of a donkey is not redeemed, its neck must be broken. Exodus 13:13. But every firstling of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you will not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. And all the firstborn of man among your sons you must redeem. Law number 83. All the tithes and offerings must be brought to the house of Yahweh. Deuteronomy 12:5-6. But you are to seek the habitation of your father, the house of Yahweh, the place which Yahweh your father shall choose out of all the tribes to establish his name, and there you must go. There you must bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes and your special gifts you have vowed to give, your freewill offerings and the firstborn of your herds and flocks. Law number 84. The house of Yahweh is the only place Yahweh has chosen to receive tithes, sacrifices, and offerings. Deuteronomy 12:13-14 and 26. Be careful not to sacrifice your burnt offerings in every place you please, but only in the place Yahweh chooses out of one of your tribes. There you must offer your burnt offerings, and there you must do all that I command you. Take only the holy things you have and your vowed offerings, and go to the place Yahweh chooses. Law number 85. The blood of the sacrifices must be poured out on the altar of Yahweh for our atonement. Deuteronomy 12:27. There you must offer your burnt offerings, both the meat and the blood, on the altar of Yahweh your father, and the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out on the altar of Yahweh your father. Then you shall eat the meat. Law number 86. Sanctified animals which have become blemished must be redeemed. Deuteronomy 15:19-22. All the firstborn males that come from your herd and your flock you must sanctify and set apart to Yahweh your father. You must do no work with your firstborn of your herd, nor shear the firstborn of your flock. You and your household of the Levites shall eat it, meat from the sacrifices of the firstborn animals, in front of Yahweh your father, year by year at the place Yahweh chooses. If there is any blemish in it, lameness, blindness, or any other defect, you must not sacrifice it to Yahweh your father. You must eat it within your cities as you would the gazelle or deer. The ceremonially unclean and the ceremonially clean alike may eat it. Law number 87. An animal exchanged for an offering is also holy. Leviticus 27:10-33. He must not exchange it or substitute a worthy one for a bad one, or a bad one for a worthy one. If he should substitute one animal for another, both it and the substitute become holy. He must not pick out the finest from the bad, nor make any substitution. If he does make a substitution, both the chosen animal and also its substitute become holy and cannot be redeemed. Law number 88. The priests are to eat the meat of the consecrated offerings. Exodus 29:33. They are to eat these things with which the atonement was made to consecrate and to sanctify them. But a stranger shall not eat these, because these are holy. Law number 89. The priests are to eat the remainder of the grain offering. Leviticus 10:12-13. Then Moshe spoke to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar, his sons who were left. Take the grain offerings that remains of the offerings made by fire to Yahweh, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. You must eat it in a holy place, because it is your share and your son's share of the offerings made by fire to Yahweh, for so I have been commanded. Law number 90. Consecrated meat of an offering which becomes ritually unclean must be burned. Leviticus 7:19. The meat that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten. It must be burned with fire. As for the other clean meat, all who are clean may eat of it. Law number 91. Consecrated meat of an offering not eaten within its appointed time must be burned. Leviticus 7:17. The remainder of the meat of this offering must be burned with fire on the third day. Vows. Law number 92. A Nazarite must let his hair grow during the period of separation. Numbers 6:5. During the entire period of his vow separation, no razor may be used on his head. He must be holy until the period of his separation to Yahweh is over. He must let the hair of his head grow long. Law number 93. A Nazarite must shave his head and bring the sacrifice